Yo guys, what is going on? It is Invin here, and today what I'm bringing to you guys is a video on the April PTR. Now, this month's update is not set to be any big content update. However, what we are going to be seeing is again another balancing and bugs update, but it has also got some really crucial quality of life features in, which are actually pretty cool. Now, as most of you guys will probably know if you are still playing New World on a regular basis, the quality of life stuff is stuff that we've wanted for quite a while that keeps working its way into the game based off a lot of player feedback. And this month's patch is no different to that. We've got some really interesting stuff that I just wanted to give you guys a rundown of to kind of bring your attention to what is actually happening with this month's patch, what we can look forward to, because some people have kind of wrote it off saying it's not a content patch, which, yeah, okay, there's not going to be tons of new things, but there is going to be some really good new additions to the game that are worth knowing about. So I'm going to go over the notes and such that they released a couple of days ago here on the forums about the PTR and give you guys the rundown of everything that you need to know for this PTR update. Now, if you do go on to enjoy this video and you'd like to see more New World content from the channel, whether it's news and updates like today's video, or whether it's tips, tricks, guides, and all other stuff covering New World, then please do go down below and drop a subscribe with the notification bell on so that you don't miss out on any new content. And if you do go on to enjoy the video, don't forget to drop me a like down below, as it massively helps to support my content. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first thing here you can see is world experience, and what they've done with this is a couple of fixes. Firstly, they've fixed an issue where the loading screen was being dismissed prematurely while the world was still loading in when fast travelling to an owned homestead. So essentially, when we load in and there's still all of that rendering to do with all of the floor disappearing and walls not being there and furniture floating and you know the drill. That's now going to be fixed. We're actually going to be in a loading screen still when we should have been, and hopefully that process will be streamlined over time too. The NPC Gregory Jones is no longer standing inside a barrel in an upgraded trading post in the Everfall settlement, which is nice because he used to glitch through there a little bit. Only seen it a couple of times myself, but yeah, interesting one. They've also fixed an issue which could result in no AI spawning at a corrupted portal event. Sometimes they would glitch and there wouldn't be any AI there, so that's been fixed. So again, these should be more consistently able to clear now. And they also fixed a rare client crash when loading into the game. Only had this a couple of times myself in the entire duration I've been playing since launch and betas and stuff. So thankfully for me, it's not been too bad, but it's glad that this has gone because I know some people were experiencing this more than others. Now, expeditions, what they've done here is fixed an issue that allowed players to body block certain expedition bosses, preventing them from transitioning into a new phase. Gardener Genesis, I'm looking at you. A lot of these timed runs, people have kind of blocked him in a corner. So now that's not going to be able to happen. I'm going to assume that you're still able to delay them a little bit with grav wells and things like that, because that's kind of like a mechanical point. But actually physically body blocking is just going to reset the AI pathing, and he's probably just going to go back to that middle bit. And that's going to be on all of the expeditions. They've also fixed bugs dealing with users disconnecting or leaving dungeons in the middle of a boss fight, causing the dungeon bosses to not reset. So again, now they should reset after that happens. And within expeditions, they have fixed an issue where the respawn point expedition entrance would appear untranslated in other languages. So again, if you are playing on a different language other than English, then you should be able to see this correctly appearing now. Now, specifically in Lazarus, they have fixed an issue where dying before entering the expedition could cause failure to progress at different stages of the expedition. So now if you go in when you're dead or dying just before it shouldn't make too much of a difference, so you should be okay. I haven't actually, again, personally seen that one, just seen it in a few clips here and there, and it is quite annoying, but thankfully that has been fixed. They've also made some lighting adjustments in Lazarus Well Expedition to minimise flashing lights in certain areas, which is, again, not something I've personally seen or seen clips of, but again, if they're getting ahead of these things, that is great. Tempest Heart specifically then, we've seen that they've fixed an issue where Ahike could die prematurely. They've also fixed the spawn animation for Urzet during the encounter to destroy the corrupted monolith. The Merkgard Musketeers will award points when defeated in the mutated version of the expedition, and they have also adjusted the amount of gold players receive from bosses to align with other expeditions, which I would have thought there'd be more because there's more stuff to do in this one, I guess, but either way, now we're going to see that in line, which is great. Also, they've done a fix here with the global mutations, and they've fixed boss final animation not happening on a party wipe. So now that should actually be happening as intended. Now, they've also done a ton of stuff here with the quests Lots of different things throughout the world here, at different points of the game, various quests, rewards in Reekwater, and they've updated Covenant Initiation Quest, etc. Also, fixed a few bugs with some of the faction missions, especially ones gathered from Eden's Grove, Great Cleave, Shattered Mountains, etc. that are not kind of like non-settlement territories, the outpost ones, which is good. But I'm not going to go over these all in too much detail because there's a lot to look at right there, and there's some other stuff that I do want to cover here. Exploration, raffle bones will only spawn at level 66 in zones that go 60 or above in order to allow players to get weapons that can be upgraded. This is a huge point because he was spawning at different levels, dropping less than 590 gear score in a lot of cases, and obviously for those players that are at that max expertise, you need to be killing mobs at level 66 to try and get that 590 plus drop, and then obviously you will be able to get that based off your expertise, so raffle bones will now be in that zone so that you can actually upgrade stuff when you do manage to kill him. Personally, still haven't found him, been hunting for him for a while, so hopefully I can get hands on soon. But for those of you that have, I've said this sometimes does work, sometimes doesn't at the moment. That's going to be consistent. And I've also changed that small-sized flint objects no longer have player collision, so there is no more tripping over rocks. This is a great one. Lots of people gathering that in duels and, you know, trying to pick them up so that it's out of the way. Now, you will no longer have to do that, which is great. Now, in terms of the combat and AI side of things here, they have fixed some issues where the buffered attack inputs would not be cleared by the weapon swapping if pressed at the end of an attack. In other words, now when you weapon swap will actually be cleared, so you'll be able to weapon swap more consistently, and that should work better with the whole queuing system. They've fixed an issue where the status effects applied by equipping weapons could become permanently stuck when traversing across regional boundaries. Again, not too sure what this one is personally, but it's good that it's been fixed. Fixed a slight stutter/desync when moving and casting spells. For the mages out there, you're going to see a little bit more smooth, consistent gameplay there, which is great. And fixed an issue where players can become stuck in the knockback reaction animation. Again, particularly versus the Warhammers, this was a problem, so that's brilliant that that has been fixed as well. Now, with perks, they fixed an issue with the Great Axe weapon perk, the Insatiable Gravity Well, that caused inconsistent activation and no visual effects. They've also removed an unintended 1-second root applied to targets next to the caster when the perk procs. So the second proc of damage that comes from the caster, if this happens when you've got the perk on, that used to give a root, which was unintentional, so that won't be the case. And you should now see activation visual effects, so you can actually see where this is going off, where the damage is coming from, so you can kind of get better at dodging and predicting what's going to happen in a fight, which is brilliant stuff. And also they've done several Blackguard's weapons rolled with a Plagued Heavy Strikes perk. This has been changed to Plagued Crits on the Blackguard's Bow and Blunderbuss, and Refreshing Evasion on the Blackguard's Fire Staff and Void Gauntlet and Ice Gauntlet. So again, not sure if that's a good thing. I personally probably think that maybe the Plagued Heavy Strikes would have been a better thing for some of those, not too sure. Maybe the Fire Staff, maybe the Void Gauntlet, Ice Gauntlet, the Bow, Blunderbuss. I think probably having Plagued Crits on there is much better, but Refreshing Evasion is also a really good one, so we'll see how that works out. But I think some people maybe a little preferring the other one. We'll see though. And then moving on to weapon-specific changes then. But we've removed input buffering when exiting ADS to avoid hip fire from unintentionally activating. Ask my friend that uses the bow about this. Essentially, when you come out of the bow animation, sometimes it will just get stuck firing some bullets, or it gets stuck firing a arrow from the hip fire animation. And of course, if you're trying to then do something else afterwards, it kind of delays that action and can get you killed or get you trapped, etc., which you don't want to do. So that has now been streamlined, which is great. The Blunderbuss, they fixed an occasional character stutter/desync when using Blunderbuss's blast shot ability, and they've also fixed an issue that caused ammo to be consumed incorrectly if the player was using primary fire and abilities at the same time, so that should now work properly. Great Axe, they fixed occasional character stutter/desync when using the Great Axe Reap ability. They've fixed an issue with the Ice Gauntlet where using Ice Spike during movement could create server/client desync. Again, really good. Musket shooter's stance camera could get stuck if jumping while activating the ability. Fixed an issue with the musket scent of the blood upgrade, which was applying to all routes, and fixed an issue when using ADS and shooter's stance at the same time. Sometimes can get camera stuck in ADS and slow player movement. So again, all of these things are kind of just clearing up the weapons, making them much more consistent. The Rapier, they fixed an issue where Keenly Jagged's perks Bleed was able to trigger Evade's passive Crescendo's cooldown reduction. With the spear, they've fixed an issue where the spear would become invisible if you were interrupted immediately after throwing it, and they've also fixed an issue where players could throw spears over the fort boundary during the war preparation phase, which is kind of crazy. I've seen a couple of clips of this, and they've kind of yeeted people with spears over the top of it, and yeah, that's gone now, so that's good. Fixed a desync when swinging the camera quickly at the start of Whirling Blade, and they've also fixed an issue where shield attribute bonuses were only applied when the sword and shield were unsheathed. Note that you will still need to have a sword equipped in order to gain the shield's bonuses, but this does finally mean that tanks are no longer going to lose their 300, 200 or whatever they want to run when running the sword and shield just because they have pressed X or their sheath button, which is great, finally. So that's good. All of you will be glad to hear that, I'm sure. Again, Expedition, they've kind of reiterated some of the stuff from before with the changes here, just about the path blocking and some of the other smoothening up bits. Outpost Rush, they've fixed an issue where players could aggro friendly Outpost Rush minions with projectile attacks. Again, that's now gone. And in Wars, they have fixed an issue where companies could declare war solely based on previous influence race participation and not on participation only the current and active influence race. So for those of you that are going around saying people are sniping our wars, etc, etc, that what's happening quite a lot, and it's something I didn't want to bring up too much in videos because obviously you don't want too much attention on it. But with this PTR, when this patch goes into fruition, you will no longer be able to snipe. You will actually have to run the influence yourself, which for a lot of the bigger companies that were getting people running it constantly, like 50, 60 plus people running for like 2 hours to get a territory into conflict, and then it gets sniped, you will be very thankful for this, and that is on the way, which is fantastic. Now, some economy progression stuff, some notable fixes up the top, which are issues where players could exceed the 500 inventory limit. Also, gem visual effects applied to the Isabella's Great Axe will now display correctly, and they have fixed some clipping around the neck area for equipment pieces, Wizened Sagius, and Tacticians. Also, they've changed some item stuff here, namely that they've fixed a bug where the Azov attuned bag perk would not stack its effect with multiple bags with the same perk, and hidden stashes can now only be collected from gatherable items that require tools. Thus, hidden stashes will no longer drop from bushes, bulrush, nuts, etc. that you don't need a scythe or a pickaxe or anything for, so it's just actually gathering now. The main kind of thing that this is all about is, of course, the quality of life changes. Now, with this, they've done quite a few different things, mainly that when entering a settlement or outpost, opening the map will automatically zoom in. That's great. Update quest icons on the item to represent whether they are complete or in progress, which again is super useful. Unequipped items now show the correct total damage. Players are now able to drop multiple items during a single inventory session while moving. Disabled the withdraw from company wallet button if your personal wallet is full, which again is great. Named crafted items that are crafted at epic rarity but can gain a 5th perk when upgraded to legendary now show the final perk as disabled on the crafting screen, so that you know that it will be available in the future but will not be available when crafted, which is a really nice touch. It means we can see what we're actually potentially getting if we invest some umbral into that as well, which is great. They've removed the tax information from the banner that appears when entering a town, updated the order of the tabs in the map, so the new order will be manage objectives, territory standings, upcoming wars, resource locations, and filters. So that is when you open the map, it's the stuff down the left hand side. And also tax information has been removed from the entering settlement UI banner to help declutter, so when you actually go in somewhere, it's just going to tell you the company that owns it, but not all of the tax information, so you will have to be aware of changing taxes and look at your map regularly to find this out, but it isn't going to be as in your face, which I think a lot of players will prefer. And that is pretty much going to be it for the PTR and the upcoming updates so far. This is obviously just the first set of notes that we have received. Once we do get some more, if there's any other really crucial stuff and some good stuff to know, then of course I will bring that to you guys here on the channel. But for now, this is looking like it's going to tidy up a lot of stuff, particularly looking at desync and stuttering with combat, and a lot of just making the UI nicer, making the interface better, and making the whole gameplay experience more smooth with those quality of life stuff, which of course is always welcomed by the players here in Eternum as well. So it's looking like it could be a pretty good update and nicely get things prepared for the 3v3s, which we should be seeing in May if everything goes to plan, which is super exciting. So this is leading nicely into that, and some great changes coming our way. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do be sure to drop a like and subscribe down below. I will keep you guys updated with all of the latest and greatest as we get more news from this, like I said, and of course with stuff that's happening in the main live game as well, such as this Easter event. I'm about to get the chest and make a video on that for you guys as well, so it should be pretty cool. But other than that, that's going to be it for today. So thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and I will catch you again very, very shortly on a brand new upload. Take care and peace.